Hello everyone, I'm back again. This is an Xbox 360S model and it has an issue where it's giving a ventilation issue where it just shuts down. Now, if you enjoy repair videos, you can subscribe to my channel. I also give tips and tricks on how to fix any kind of electronic device. So it does load, but then immediately when it loads, gives you an error talking about ventilation, how it's going to shut down, and you can't turn on until the flashing red light of death stops blinking. And obviously, after you turn it back on, it has the same issue. So this is not a software problem. It's obviously a hardware issue. And if your fan is cleaned out, you could try to blow in on the fan, but if that doesn't work out, you'll have to open it. To open it up, you can clip off these bezels. This has a little plastic part that comes off as well. You have to do that on both sides of the machine. I've already taken this off, but they are fastened on quite well, so you have to use a screwdriver and pry them off. Then going around, there's also other plastic frame, and just using tweezers, there's these little hooks that you can unhook them, and by doing that on both sides of the system. Then later, this will enable us to take it apart. I believe the S model is a little bit more tricky to disassemble, but when you do get it disassembled, the internal components are quite similar. To take out the frame, there's two little clips at the back here, and then on the bottom there are two clips as well. One you can access and one you cannot, so you just kind of pull them apart when you're going, and then push down because there's one in the middle there. So pushing down in the center will get the second clip. It's a quite nice model where you don't see any screws, but it is a pain to take apart. Inside there's some long screws that connect to the plastic bezel to the metal frame, so you have to take off all the screws. And then when you have that taken apart, you'll be able to take off the metal frame. And then at the bottom of the metal frame is the motherboard. So also there's a ribbon cable to the power button, so you have to take that apart. Flipping it over, you can see the little X shape that's going to be connected to our heatsink. So initially I thought, hey, it's probably a thermal issue. That's why it's giving the signal, so I'm going to reapply thermal paste. Now, this wasn't the issue. You can skip further on the video to find the solution. It needed some soldering, but your model, depending on what the issue is, it could be the thermal paste, and it's a good idea to reinstall the thermal paste because Xbox consoles are quite old now, so it's a good idea to get everything back in working condition. So I've taken off the X bracket and the fan onto the heatsink. Then this will enable us to remove the heatsink, and underneath you can see the old thermal paste is all dried out, so I'm just using some isopropyl alcohol cleaning up the processor of the Xbox, and then I'll be doing that on the bottom of the heatsink as well. Then I can apply the new thermal paste to the CPU. So again, my initial thought was that this would be the issue, just reapply the thermal paste. And again, it's a good idea to do this after when you have the machine apart. You might as well do it as well. So I'm just putting the heatsink back on, and then I'll be clipping on the metal bracket that holds the heatsink on, and we'll be seeing if this fixes our issue. So after that is on, and I'm going to be putting everything back. So I just put on the heatsink and connected all the components. You don't need to put the frame, and I just booted it up to verify if this is the solution. Unfortunately, it has the same error. It gives you a little saying it's overheating. Now, I did do some research, and apparently there are these thermal resistors. There's these resistors, they go bad over time because they heat up. they should all measure 0 ohms. And I took out my multimeter, and the first one in the row, there's 6 of them, I was measuring 18 ohms. And then the other ones I was measuring 0.2, and then 0.2 on the next one. And the other ones, they're all measuring under an ohm. These should all measure 0 ohms, okay, or close to 0. So I know that the issue is one of these resistors has deteriorated over time, whether that's through heat. And so what I'm going to be doing is shorting that first resistor on the row, and I'm just using some wire to short over the top of that resistor. You can see that short. I'm just using wire and some solder and some flux. So after I did that, you can immediately hear how quiet it is going, and then you immediately know that the issue has been solved. And then reboot the system and see if it's working. So the issue was these resistors, and after shorting out that first resistor to make it a lower ohms, that's told the CPU that it's not overheating. So you can see it's the RD428 resistors. Make sure they're all measuring close to 0 ohms, and it's working. So if you enjoy repair videos, or you want more tips and tricks on how to fix things, you can subscribe to my channel. See you guys in the next one.